What's up, beautiful people? My name's Justin, and today I'm going to share with you a story about faith, belief, and trust. And this is a story that I remember and I look back upon, and I tell myself whenever I'm going through a stressful situation, especially when the situation seems so bad. It seems like there's no way there's anything good about this situation. For example, I lost my wallet. I had money in it. And I was like, there's nothing good about me losing my wallet. Like, this sucks. And I was sitting in this feeling bad for myself. Self-pity is what we call it. I was sitting in self-pity. And I was like, oh, poor me, I lost my wallet. But then I remembered this story. And I thought, well, what can I learn? Maybe losing my wallet taught me something. Maybe I should be more responsible. So what this story is going to do, it's going to give you that little bit of insight, that mental note that whenever you're going through something challenging and it seems like it's the end of the world for you, that usually means there's something beautiful around the corner. So there's this king, okay? This king rules this big kingdom. And whenever something goes wrong, just like how I lost my wallet, the king is quick to react. Oh, this is so bad. Now nothing's gonna work. And he's constantly acting in these negative ways when something goes wrong. But he's the king. He needs to be calm. He needs to see the bigger picture. But he's stuck in reactions to bad things. But he noticed that he has this friend named Michael. And whenever something goes wrong to the king, Michael comes in and says to the king, hey, wait, king, wait. Before you react, what just happened, even though it seems so bad, this thing that just happened is actually good for you. And it's actually good for all of us. And the king, he usually doesn't listen to Michael because he's like, Michael doesn't know. I'm the king. This is really bad. What's going on? But over time, the king realizes Michael's right. Because something bad will happen and the king will be mad and upset. And Michael's like, hey, king, this is okay. And later, over time, the thing turns out to be actually great or good for the whole kingdom. And the king finally is thinking, okay, I need to have Michael around me. So whenever something goes wrong, Michael can be there to stop me before I act in a bad way and remind me that there's always something good around the corner. So one day, the king's riding his horse with Michael. Oh, boom! Falls off. He cuts his arm really bad. The king cuts his arm. And the king is upset. Oh no, my arm, what am I gonna do? And Michael said, no, king, this is good. And the king looks at Michael. Michael, you think my pain, you think my injury is good? That's enough of your positivity. Get to the dungeon. So he sends Michael to the dungeon. Now the king is laying in bed, loathing, sitting, laying in self-pity when you're feeling bad for yourself. He's sitting there, oh, poor me, my arm. So weeks go by. Michael's still in the dungeon. This positive guy that was just trying to help the king out, he's still in the dungeon. And this miserable king is still in his bed, healing his arm. Finally, the king's arm is healed. And the king decides, I'm going to go for a horseback ride because I missed my horse. So the king puts on his cloak and his crown. He gets on his horse alone and starts riding. He goes through the city, goes in the forest, looking at all the beautiful trees. But then he sees cannibals. Tribal cannibals. And they see the king too. And the king's like, oh. And they run and they get the king. And the king's scared because he knows these are cannibals. They're going to eat the king. The king is fat because he has so much power. He can eat all the time and sit in his throne. So he's a big king. He looks tasty to these cannibals. So these cannibals take the king back to their fire, where they have a big fire pit, and they're getting ready to sacrifice this big man so they can eat for the whole tribe. But when they go to take the king's cloak off, so they can cook him, when they go to take off his clothes, they notice this king has a scar, a big scar on his arm. He's not pure. They can't use him as a sacrifice. So they send him back to the kingdom. The king hops back on his horse. He thought he was going to die. And now he's riding back. And for what reason? Because the cut on his arm. Michael was right. So the king goes back to the dungeon. He opens the gates and says, Michael, that time when I cut my arm and I got mad at you, it was good. You were right, because these cannibals, they were going to eat me, and then they realized that they couldn't because my arm, and now I'm free and my life is saved because I fell off the horse. I should have trusted you, and I'm so sorry, Michael. Please forgive me. And Michael says, King, don't apologize, because even throwing me in the dungeon was good too. And the king thinks, okay, how is that good? How is me putting you in the dungeon good? And Michael said, because if I was with you when those cannibals came, they wouldn't have eaten you, king, because of the cut on your arm. They would have eaten me. So the moral of the story is that things in life, sometimes it feels like they're happening to you. I lost my wallet, that happened to me, it sucks. But really, it's happening for you. It's a way for the higher powers, nature, and the world giving you what you need. And sometimes it might feel like it's bad. Maybe you lost a friend. Maybe your parents got mad at you. Maybe you hurt yourself. But at the end of the day, we always come out with a new idea, with a new appreciation, with new knowledge about what we either lost, what we could do to prevent it. There's tons of ways that negative things can actually be very good. So there's a quote by a philosopher, an old philosopher, and he says, man is affected not by the events that happen to him, but by his interpretation of the events. So in other words, we're not affected by the bad things that happen to us. We're affected because we think they're bad. But a lot of times we have to give it time, and good things will come out of any situation. So thank you guys for listening to the video. I hope it was clear, and I hope you guys have a beautiful day.